There is a hidden order beneath the chaos of reality, not visible to the eye, not measurable by ordinary science, but sensed in moments of awe, synchronicity, and deep connection. And one physicist dared to name it. David Bohm. Not with dogma, not with mysticism, but with equations, experiments, and a mind so vast it bridged quantum mechanics and ancient wisdom. A student of Einstein, a colleague of Oppenheimer, Bohm shocked the scientific world when he proposed that the universe is not a collection of separate objects, but an unbroken whole. A single, flowing movement he called the implicate order. What we perceive as particles, space, time, even consciousness, are merely temporary unfoldings of this deeper reality, like whirlpools in a river, appearing separate, but made of the same water. This isn't philosophy, it's physics, and it changes everything. Because if Bohm is right, then separation is an illusion. You are not a body isolated in space, bumping into other bodies. You are a localized expression of an infinite field, interconnected, interdependent, inseparable from the cosmos. He didn't reject science, he expanded it. While mainstream physics focused on fragmentation, breaking matter into smaller and smaller parts, Bohm went the opposite direction, toward unity. He saw that quantum entanglement, where two particles instantly influence each other across vast distances, wasn't a curiosity. It was evidence of wholeness. This is not a theory, he said. It is a fact. And the implications go far beyond laboratories. If all is one, then every thought, every emotion, every action ripples through the whole. There is no true isolation, no real privacy, no escape from participation. This means you are not just in the universe. You are the universe, aware of itself, questioning itself, loving itself. Bohm didn't speak of God. He spoke of undivided wholeness. And in doing so, he gave scientific language to what sages have said for millennia. Thou art that. The Upanishads, the Hermetists, the mystics of every tradition, they weren't guessing, they were perceiving. And now science begins to confirm it. But Bohm also warned, our entire worldview is built on fragmentation. In science, politics, religion, psychology, we divide nature from culture, mind from body, self from other. And in that division, we create conflict, suffering, ecological collapse. To heal, we must shift from the explicate order, the unfolded visible world of separation, to the implicate, the hidden enfolded reality of unity. This is not escape, it is deeper engagement, because only from wholeness can true solutions arise. The first revelation is this: reality is a hologram. Bohm collaborated with neuroscientist Carl Pribram to develop the holographic paradigm. The idea that the brain and the universe operate like a hologram, where every part contains information about the whole. In a hologram, if you cut a piece of the film, the entire image still appears, just smaller. Similarly, every region of space, every cell in your body, every moment in time, carries the imprint of the entire cosmos. This explains phenomena like intuition, déjà vu, and mystical experiences. They are not delusions. They are glimpses of the implicate order. When you feel a sudden knowing, when you dream of someone who later calls, when you stand in nature and feel unity, you are not imagining it. You are tuning into the deeper layer of reality. Bohm used the analogy of a flowing stream with a whirlpool. The whirlpool appears distinct, with boundaries, shape, motion, but it is not separate from the stream. Remove the flow, and it vanishes. In the same way, you appear as a separate being with a name, body, history, but you are not truly apart from the flow of existence. Your identity is a temporary pattern in an infinite current. This doesn't mean you don't exist. It means you exist differently, not as a thing, but as a process, not as a noun, but as a verb. You are not a person. You are personing, living, beinging. And in that realization, fear of death dissolves. Because if you are the universe waving, then when the wave subsides, you don't vanish. You return to the source. You re-unfold. This is not belief. It is inference from observation. Quantum physics shows that particles don't exist as definite objects until observed. They are potentials, probabilities, tendencies. Only when measured do they collapse into form. Bohm interpreted this not as randomness, but as evidence of a deeper intelligence, a cosmic mind unfolding reality, moment by moment. He called this the hollow movement, the dynamic, unbroken process of creation. And consciousness? Not a product of the brain, but a feature of the universe, like gravity or electromagnetism. The brain doesn't generate awareness, it transmits it, like a radio receiving signals from the air. Damage the radio, and the signal distorts, but the broadcast continues. In the same way, damage the brain, and consciousness may be impaired, but it does not cease. This reframes everything. Birth is not the beginning of awareness. Death is not its end. They are transitions in the dance of enfolding and unfolding. The second phase is thought as a system. Bohm didn't just study the cosmos, he studied the mind, and what he found was disturbing. Thought is not your ally. It is a reflexive system that controls you. Most people believe they think their thoughts, but Bohm showed that thought thinks you. It operates like a computer program, running silently in the background, shaping perception, generating emotions, directing behavior, while convincing you that you're in charge. You see a situation and instantly thought labels it: danger, opportunity, enemy, lover. These labels aren't neutral. They carry emotional charge, memory, bias, and once activated, they trigger reactions, fear, desire, anger, that feel personal but are actually mechanical. This creates conflict within and between people. Two nations fight, each convinced of its righteousness. Two lovers argue, each trapped in their narrative. But Bohm insisted, the problem is not the content of thought. It is the illusion that thought is truth. Thought is useful for solving math problems, building bridges, recalling names, but it fails when applied to life, love, meaning. Because life is not static, it flows, and thought by nature freezes reality into concepts. It turns river into a fixed idea, missing the constant change of water. It turns you into an identity, ignoring the flux of cells, emotions, thoughts. So when you say I am angry, thought has already created a subject, I, and an object, anger, binding you to both. But in reality, there is only energy in motion. Labeling it anger limits your response. You could feel it as power, passion, urgency, if thought didn't trap you in old patterns. Bohm's solution? Dialogue. Not debate, not discussion, but a shared inquiry where participants suspend assumptions, listen without judgment, and observe thought as it arises. In such spaces, collective insight emerges, not from argument but from coherence. He believed that humanity's survival depends on ending the war of ideas, because as long as we identify with our thoughts, we will defend them like territory, leading to violence, polarization, destruction. True intelligence arises when we stop fighting over beliefs and start exploring reality together. One practical implication: observe your thought without ownership. Sit quietly and notice. Thoughts come and go like clouds in the sky. You don't command them. They appear. Who is watching? That watcher is not thought. It is awareness, prior to language, prior to identity. When you rest in awareness, thought loses its grip. It becomes a tool, not a master. This is freedom. This is sanity. The third level is the participatory universe. Bohm rejected the idea of an objective reality out there, independent of the observer. Instead, he proposed a participatory universe, where observer and observed co-create reality. This echoes quantum physics. The act of measurement affects the measured. But Bohm took it further. He saw that consciousness is not passive, it is generative. Every moment you are not just perceiving the world, you are enacting it. Like an actor on stage, you bring the scene to life through attention, intention, emotion. Ignore a flower, and it fades from your world. Focus on it, and it blooms with detail, color, scent. This isn't imagination. It's selection. Your consciousness filters infinite possibilities into a single experience. And because all is connected, your inner state shapes the outer. If you live in fear, you perceive threat everywhere. If you live in openness, you meet kindness. This is not the law of attraction as superficial wishing. It is resonance. Like tunes a radio, your psyche aligns with matching frequencies in the hollow movement. So healing doesn't begin with the body. It begins with the quality of attention. When you observe pain without resistance, without story, something shifts. The energy moves. The block dissolves. Doctors see symptoms. Bohm saw meaning. Illness, crisis, loss. These are not random. They are feedback from the whole asking for integration, for balance, for awakening. He often said, problems cannot be solved at the level of thinking that created them. To break free, you must access the implicate order through silence, meditation, art, love. In those states, duality collapses. Seer and seen merge. And in that union, new solutions emerge, not from logic but from insight. This is how creativity works, how discovery happens, how transformation unfolds. Bohm practiced what he preached. He meditated daily, engaged in deep dialogue, studied Eastern philosophies, and lived simply. He didn't seek fame, he sought truth. And in doing so, he became a living example of his teachings, a man whose inner coherence radiated outward, influencing physicists, philosophers, psychologists, and seekers worldwide. The fourth step is love as intelligence. For Bohm, love was not emotion. It was the highest form of intelligence. A state of undivided attention where separation vanishes. When you truly love someone, you don't project, judge, or control. You see them as they are, not through the filter of memory or desire. That seeing is communion. It is the implicate order manifesting in relationship. Most relationships fail because they are based on need, not love. You want the other to complete you, validate you, fix your loneliness. But Bohm said, you cannot connect with another unless you are whole within yourself. Love begins with self-observation, seeing your projections, your fears, your dependencies. Then with clarity you can meet the other without distortion. This is rare, this is sacred, and it changes everything. In love, boundaries soften. You feel the other's joy as your own, their pain as yours. Not because you lose yourself, but because you realize you were never truly apart. This is the essence of compassion, the awareness of unity expressing as care. Bohm saw science and spirituality not as enemies but as allies, both seeking truth, one through instruments, the other through introspection. The final frontier is not space, it is consciousness. And the greatest experiment is not in a lab, it is in daily life, observing thought, suspending judgment, participating fully. He didn't promise enlightenment, he offered responsibility, the responsibility to question, to inquire, to live authentically. Because only in authenticity can the implicate order reveal itself. Only in presence can you touch the timeless. Now the climax. Imagine standing in a dark room with a beam of light cutting through dust. You see particles floating, dancing, colliding. Each appears separate, fleeting, random. But then the light widens, the walls dissolve, and you realize the room is not enclosed. It opens into infinity. The particles are not isolated. They are vortices in an endless ocean of energy. And you, the observer, are not outside. You are the ocean, aware of its motion. This is what Bohm knew. This is what he tried to show us. You are not a speck in the void. You are the void, dreaming itself awake. So here's your invitation. Tonight, before sleep, Sit in silence and ask, what is the source of this awareness? Don't seek an answer, just dwell in the question. And in that stillness, something ancient stirs, something whole, something free.